You know, the most powerful hour of the day is not when the world applauds you. It's when the world is asleep. At 5 a.m., no one is watching you. And that's exactly why it matters. Stay with me till the end. The last lessons will completely change how you look at discipline, success, and your own potential. Many of you are ambitious. You want success, peace, confidence, clarity. But inside there is confusion. You wake up tired. Even after sleeping, your mind feels busy, but your life feels stuck. And slowly, a dangerous thought creeps in. Maybe I'm not disciplined enough. Maybe I'm not meant for greatness. But let me tell you something comforting. The problem is not your talent. The problem is not your luck. The problem is not even time. The problem is that your day begins reacting instead of leading. And that is why today I want to talk to you about the 5 a.m. winning mindset. Not waking up early for productivity, but waking up early for inner leadership. Let us begin with the very first key point. And I want you to listen to this, not with your ears, but with your life. When the alarm rings at 5 a.m., something very interesting happens. The world is silent, the room is dark, and for a brief moment, life asks you a very honest question. Who is in control, you or your comfort? This moment has nothing to do with productivity, success, or achievement. It is deeply personal. It is about your relationship with yourself. Most people think winning in life is about defeating competition. But long before you defeat competition, you must first defeat hesitation. And hesitation is strongest when no one is watching. That is why the morning is such a powerful teacher at 5 a.m. There is no boss, no audience, no praise, no reward. There is only you and your decision. The bed feels warm, safe, familiar. The dream feels unfinished. And the mind gives very logical arguments. Just 10 more minutes. But life is never changed in 10 more minutes. Life changes in moments when you choose discomfort over delay. See, the problem is not that people are lazy. The problem is that people slowly lose trust in themselves. Every time you promise yourself you will wake up early and you don't, something invisible breaks inside. Not loudly, quietly. And over time, that broken trust becomes self-doubt. You start saying, "This is just how I am." No, this is just how you have been practicing. Waking up early is not about waking the body. It is about waking the conscience. It tells your inner self, I can rely on you. And self-belief is born not from motivational quotes, but from repeat. Self-honesty, you see, confidence is not built by big achievement. Confidence is built when your actions align with your intention. When you say you will wake up early and you do, you send a powerful message to your subconscious. My words matter. And when your words start mattering to you, your life starts listening. Many people wait to feel motivated before changing. But discipline comes before motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is intentional. At 5 a.m., emotions are weak, excuses are sleepy, and awareness has a chance to lead. This is why the morning victory is so important. Because if you can win the first battle of the day, something subtle but profound happens. You stop negotiating with your lower self. Life is full of negotiations. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'll change when things settle. But mornings don't negotiate. They demand clarity. And let me tell you something very compassionate. Waking up early does not mean you become harsh with yourself. It means you become honest with yourself. You stop lying that you want change while choosing the same patterns. When you rise early, you don't just leave the bed, you leave behind excuses, and gradually this habit spills into other areas of life. You start finishing what you start. You stop blaming circumstances. You realize that self-respect feels better than comfort, even though comfort feels easier. In the moment, this is why successful people are not necessarily more talented. They simply respect themselves enough to keep small commitments. If you cannot keep a small promise with yourself, like waking up, How will you keep larger promises when life becomes demanding? Relationships demand patience, careers demand consistency, purpose demands sacrifice, and all of that training begins. In silence, the beauty of early morning is that it humbles you. No one is clapping. No one is impressed. You are not posting it anywhere. It is just between you and your integrity. And integrity practiced daily becomes character. You don't wake up at 5 a.m. because you are already strong. You wake up at 5 a.m. to become strong. And strength does not mean forcing yourself aggressively. Strength means gently but firmly choosing what aligns with your higher self. So the next time the alarm rings, don't think about success. Don't think about money. Don't think about achievement. Just ask yourself one simple question. Will I keep my word today? Because the day you start keeping your word to yourself, life starts keeping its promises to you. Let us gently step into the second lesson, because once you learn to rise early, the real gift of the morning slowly reveals itself. When you wake up at 5 a.m., the first thing you notice is not productivity, it is peace. The air feels different. The silence feels alive. The world is not yet demanding anything from you. And this silence is not empty. It is powerful. Most people are exhausted not because they work too much, but because their mind never gets a break. From the moment they wake up, life starts shouting. Notifications, messages, news, expectations, comparisons, opinions. Before the day even begins, the mind is already cluttered. That is why people say, I feel busy all day. I don't know what I actually did. Early morning gives you something rare in modern life, mental sovereignty. You are not responding. You are choosing at 5 a.m. Your phone is quiet. Your inbox is quiet. The world has not yet entered your head. And this creates a sacred window where you can enter your own life consciously. This is the hour where you are not reacting to circumstances. You are setting the tone. Think about it. When the day begins with noise, your mind becomes noisy. When the day begins with rush, your emotions become rushed. And when the day begins with comparison, your confidence slowly leaks. But when the day begins with silence, clarity quietly takes charge. Silence does not mean doing nothing. Silence means listening inward. It means observing your breath, your thoughts, your intentions, without judgment. And here is something very important. Most of our problems are not real problems. They are amplified problems. Noise amplifies fear. Silence dissolves confusion. In the early morning, the mind is like still water. When water is still, it reflects clearly. When water is disturbed, everything looks distorted. Life situations don't change. Your perception changes. This is why people who cultivate morning silence respond differently to challenges. They don't panic easily. They don't overreact unnecessarily. They don't speak impulsively and regret later, because silence trains awareness. You see, wisdom is not about knowing more information. Wisdom is knowing when to speak, when to act, and when to wait. And that timing is developed only in stillness. Many people say, I don't have clarity. Clarity doesn't come from thinking more. Clarity comes from thinking less. Consciously, early morning gives you that space. Even 10 minutes of sitting quietly at 5 a.m. can do what hours of overthinking cannot. It realigns you. It brings you back to center. And slowly, a beautiful shift happens. You stop carrying yesterday into today. You stop carrying other people's expectations into your decision. You start hearing your own inner voice again, the one that got buried under noise. This is especially important for young people. Today, comparison is constant. Social media tells you who is ahead, who is behind, who is doing better, who is failing. And without silence, you start measuring your worth using someone else's timeline. Early morning breaks that illusion. When the world is asleep, there is no comparison, no competition, no performance, just existence. And existence reminds you, you are enough before you achieve anything. This is why people who start their day in silence are emotionally stronger. Their self-worth is not dependent on external validation. Their peace is not hostage to circumstances. And once you taste this inner quiet, you begin to protect it. You become selective with your energy. You don't argue unnecessarily. You don't consume everything mindlessly. You start valuing your mental space. That is the real power of early morning. It is not about waking up early to do more. It is about waking up early to be less disturbed. And when disturbance reduces, effectiveness increases naturally. Life doesn't become easier, but you become steadier. So if you wake up at 5 a.m. and all you do is scroll your phone, you are missing the point. The gift of early morning is not activity. It is awareness. Sit quietly. Breathe deeply. Observe gently. Let the world wait. Let your soul speak. Because when you begin your day from the inside, the outside slowly falls into place. And now that silence has prepared your mind, the next lesson will show you how early mornings train you to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. And this is where real inner victory begins. Now we move deeper, because this is where the real inner shift starts happening. When you wake up at 5 a.m., you are not just changing your schedule. You are retraining your mind's reward system. And this is something most people never consciously do. The human mind is designed to chase pleasure and avoid pain. This is natural. But without awareness, this tendency quietly runs our life. We eat what tastes good, not what nourishes us. We scroll what feels easy, not what elevates us. We choose what comforts us now, even if it costs us later. And this is why many people feel stuck. Not because they don't want growth, but because their daily choices are ruled by short-term pleasure. The early morning directly challenges this pattern. Let's be honest, waking up at 5 a.m. is not pleasurable. It is uncomfortable. The body resists. The mind complains. And in that moment, you are standing at a very powerful crossroads, impulse or intention, where you choose to wake up despite discomfort. Something profound happens in your psychology. You teach your mind a new rule. I don't always obey what feels good right now. This is not self-punishment. This is self-leadership. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you feel like doing. But real freedom is being able to do what is right, even when you don't feel like it. And early morning is one of the safest, simplest training grounds for this freedom. Think about regret. Regret never comes from discomfort. Regret always comes from avoidance. Nobody regrets waking up early and taking care of their life. People regret wasting years in comfort zones. At 5 a.m., you are choosing future joy over present ease. And the mind initially resists because it is not used to delayed rewards. But slowly, with consistency, the mind learns a new pleasure. The pleasure of self-respect. Self-respect feels very different from pleasure. Pleasure excites you. Self-respect stabilizes you. Pleasure fades quickly. Self-respect stays quietly all day. When you wake up early, even before the day begins, you carry a subtle inner confidence. I did what I said I would do. And that feeling becomes the emotional foundation of your day. This is why people who practice early discipline are less likely to indulge in destructive habits later. They pause before reacting. They think before escaping, because the mind remembers, I've already chosen discipline once today. One good choice makes the next good choice easier. This is how transformation actually happens. Not dramatically, gradually. People often ask, how do I control my habits? You don't control habits. You replace impulses with values. Waking up early strengthens the value of long-term thinking. It trains you to sit with discomfort without running away. And this skill is priceless, because life will test you in many ways. Failure, rejection, waiting, uncertainty. If you cannot tolerate mild discomfort in the morning, how will you tolerate deeper discomfort in life? Early morning builds emotional stamina. You stop needing instant gratification all the time. You stop reacting emotionally to every urge. You become less impulsive and more intentional. And here is something beautiful. Once the mind learns that discipline does not kill happiness, it starts cooperating at first. Waking up early feels heavy. Later it feels neutral. And eventually it feels empowering. Not because it becomes easy, but because you become stronger. Strength is not the absence of desire. Strength is the ability to not be ruled by desire. This mindset slowly enters other areas of life. You become patient with progress. You stop quitting too soon. You stop expecting overnight results. You realize that anything meaningful, health, knowledge, character, purpose, grows slowly, and because you have practiced choosing long-term fulfillment every morning, waiting no longer scares you. This is why disciplined people are calmer. They are not in a hurry to prove anything. They trust the process because they live the process daily. So when you wake up at 5 a.m., remind yourself, I am not sacrificing sleep. I am investing in my future self. You are teaching your mind that joy does not come from ease. It comes from alignment between what you know is right and what you actually do. And once this alignment becomes your lifestyle, success becomes a side effect, not a struggle. Now that your mind has learned to choose long-term joy over short-term comfort, the next lesson will show you how early mornings build something even deeper, inner discipline before outer success. Very well. Now we step into a layer that most people misunderstand. Discipline. When people hear the word discipline, they imagine force, pressure, strict routines, or a harsh life with no joy. But true discipline is not cruelty toward yourself. True discipline is clarity in action, and early mornings are where this clarity is quietly forged. At 5 a.m., there is no urgency from the world, no deadlines shouting, no people demanding. And that is precisely why this time is perfect for building inner discipline. Because whatever you do at this hour, you do it by choice, not by compulsion. Outer success often looks glamorous, but inner discipline is always invisible. Nobody sees you waking up early. Nobody sees you resisting the urge to sleep more. Nobody praises you for consistency. And that is why discipline is so pure. It is practiced for growth, not for applause. Most people wait for life to push them. They change when things fall apart. They become disciplined after a failure, after a loss, after a warning. But wise people train discipline before life tests them. Early morning discipline is preparation, not reaction. Think of it like this. When a storm comes, you don't start building the roof. You build the roof when the sky is clear. Similarly, discipline built in calm times protects you in chaotic times. At 5 a.m., you are training your ability to do what is necessary even when it is not urgent. And this skill is rare. Urgent things scream. Important things whisper. Health whispers. Character whispers. Purpose whispers. And because they whisper, most people ignore them until it's too late. Early morning is when you finally hear the whisper, when you sit quietly, exercise, read, pray, or reflect at this hour. You are strengthening your inner command system. You are telling your mind, I decide what matters, not my moods. And over time, something beautiful happens. Discipline stops feeling like resistance and starts feeling like self-care. You no longer say, I have to wake up early. You start saying, I don't want to betray myself. This is a very different energy. People with inner discipline dawn need constant motivation. They don't need external pressure. They have an internal compass. And this compass is built through repeated acts of conscious choice. Early mornings also teach you patience. Results don't show immediately. You wake up early for weeks and nothing dramatic changes. no instant success, no miracle. And this is where most people quit. But discipline is not about immediate reward. It is about delayed strength. Each early morning is like depositing a small amount into an invisible bank account. You don't see the balance daily, but one day, when life demands maturity, resilience, or focus, you suddenly have it. People then say you are so strong. They don't see the years of quiet mornings behind it. Inner discipline makes outer success sustainable. Without it, success becomes stressful, fame becomes fragile, achievement becomes empty. That is why many talented people burn out, while disciplined people endure. Because discipline creates rhythm. When your life has rhythm, chaos has less power over you. Early mornings give your life a steady anchor. No matter how the day goes, you know one thing, you started it right. And that creates emotional stability. You stop feeling like life is controlling you. You feel like you are participating consciously. And here is something important. Discipline does not mean rigidity. If one day you fail, discipline does not say give up. Discipline says return. That is real maturity. You don't punish yourself, you correct yourself. Early morning practice teaches humility. Some days you will succeed. Some days you will struggle, and that teaches compassion toward yourself and others. Because when you understand how hard discipline is, you stop judging people so quickly. This is why disciplined people are often kinder. They know the effort behind growth, so don't chase motivation. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't try to impress anyone, just show up, especially when nobody is watching. Because success that comes without discipline feels heavy, but success that grows from discipline feels natural. And once this inner discipline is established, the next lesson gently opens your heart, teaching you how early mornings connect you to gratitude and purpose, not just achievement. Now we arrive at a place where ambition softens into meaning, where effort meets gratitude, and discipline finds its soul. When you wake up at 5 a.m., something subtle happens before you even do anything productive. You realize that life is already happening quietly, generously, without asking anything from you. The sky exists before your goals. Your breath exists before your plans. Another day exists before your achievements. And this realization is powerful. Most people wake up late and immediately start chasing messages, chasing deadlines, chasing validation, chasing success. Their day begins with lack. I need to do more. I need to become more. I am behind. But early morning gently removes this illusion. At 5 a.m., you are reminded of a simple truth. You are alive. Before you are successful. And gratitude is born not from having more, but from noticing more. When the world is quiet, you notice the smallest blessings, the stillness, rhythm of your breath, the calmness of your mind, the privilege of another sunrise. And these are not small things. These are foundational things. Gratitude grounds ambition. Without gratitude, ambition becomes greed. Without gratitude, success becomes pressure. Without gratitude, progress becomes comparison. Early morning creates a sacred pause where you remember why you are striving, not just what you are striving for. You see, purpose is not found by running faster. Purpose is found by slowing down enough to listen. Many people say, I don't know my purpose. Purpose is not hiding. Your awareness is distracted when you sit quietly in the early morning without noise and performance. Your inner values begin to surface. You start asking deeper questions, not out of anxiety, but out of sincerity. Am I living consciously? Am I growing in the right direction? Am I grateful or just busy? And these questions don't overwhelm you, they align you. Gratitude has a beautiful side effect. It reduces fear. When you appreciate what you have, fear of losing reduces. When you acknowledge how much you've been given, insecurity softens. When you start the day with thankfulness, stress loses its grip. This is why people who practice gratitude The early in the morning are emotionally calmer throughout the day. They don't panic easily. They don't complain unnecessarily. They don't feel entitled. They feel entrusted. And this feeling changes how you work. You stop working. Prove your worth. You start working to honor the opportunity. Early morning gratitude also humbles the ego. You realize that your intelligence, your body, your time, your opportunities, none of them are guaranteed. And instead of making you fearful, this awareness makes you responsible. You begin to respect life more. When gratitude enters your morning, patience enters your actions. You stop rushing success. You stop resenting the process. You understand that growth takes time, and that time itself is a blessing. And here is something very important. Gratitude does not reduce ambition. It refines ambition. You no longer want success at any cost. You want success with peace. You want progress without losing your values. You want achievement without arrogance. That is purpose-driven living. Early mornings give you a chance to remember your deeper intentions before the world tempts you with shallow rewards. Before likes, money, applause, and comparisons distract you. When you remember purpose early, distraction lose power later, and slowly something beautiful happens. Your goals become meaningful. You don't just ask, what will I gain? You ask, who will I become? Gratitude also heals restlessness. Many people are restless not because they lack success, but because they lack appreciation. They move from one desire to another, never satisfied. But when gratitude becomes your foundation, you enjoy the journey. You celebrate effort. You respect progress. Early morning teaches you that peace is not postponed until success. Peace is practiced now. So before you rush into the day, pause, acknowledge life, offer gratitude. Not mechanically, but sincerely, because when your day begins with gratitude, your heart becomes light. And when the heart is light, even hard work feels meaningful. Now that gratitude has anchored your ambition, the next lesson will show you something even deeper. How early mornings quietly create distance between who you were and who you are becoming. Now we move into a transformation that is quiet, almost invisible, yet profoundly powerful. Most people don't fail because they lack knowledge. They fail because they keep repeating the same version of themselves, same habits, same reactions, same excuses, same comfort zones. And this repetition slowly becomes identity. You don't just do certain things. You start believing, this is who I am. Early morning has a unique ability to break this invisible loop. When you wake up at 5 a.m. consistently, your subconscious receives a very strong message. I am no longer the old version of me. And the subconscious always believes what you repeatedly show it, not what you say. Identity is not changed by affirmation. Identity is changed by evidence. Every early morning becomes evidence. Evidence that you can change. Evidence that you are not stuck. Evidence that discipline is possible. And slowly, this evidence accumulates. At first, it feels forced. You still see yourself as the same person trying something new. But with time, the language inside changes. You stop saying, I'm trying to wake up early. You start saying, I am someone who wakes up early. This shift is subtle, but everything changes here. Because behavior follows identity, not the other way around. Once identity shifts, habits stop feeling heavy. You no longer fight yourself every morning. You simply act in alignment with who you believe you are. This is why early morning is such a powerful identity tool. It creates distance between your past self and your present self. Not dramatically but decisively. Most people want a big turning point, a dramatic breakthrough, a life-changing moment. But life rarely changes that way. Life changes through daily divergence. 1 hour earlier, one decision different, one promise kept, and after months, you look back and realize, I am not the same person anymore. What is beautiful about this transformation is that it is not dependent on external success. Even before your career improves, before money increases, before recognition comes, your inner image impedes. Ovs, you begin respecting yourself more. And self-respect is a very powerful emotion. It makes you less desperate for approval, less tolerant of chaos, less willing to settle. When your identity changes, your standards change. You stop entertaining negativity. You stop procrastinating endlessly. You stop sabotaging your own growth, not because someone told you to, but because it no longer matches who you are becoming. Early morning also breaks the story of victimhood. Many people unconsciously carry the story, life is happening to me. But waking up early rewrites that story into, I am participating in my life. This is not arrogance. This is responsibility, and responsibility is empowering. You stop blaming time, you stop blaming people, you stop blaming circumstances. You realize, I may not control everything, but I control how I begin. And that sense of agency spills into every area of life. You take ownership of your emotions. You take ownership of your growth. You take ownership of your reactions. Identity transformation also brings patience. You no longer rush success because you trust the process. You know that becoming someone better takes time. And because you are no longer obsessed with instant results, anxiety reduces. Early morning teaches you to measure progress internally before measuring it externally. You start asking, am I more disciplined than last month? Am I calmer? Am I more aware? And these questions build sustainable confidence. This is why people who practice early rising often feel grounded even when life is uncertain. Their stability comes from identity, not circumstances. They don't panic when things move slowly. They don't crumble when things go wrong. Because they know who they are becoming. And that knowledge is steady, so understand. This, waking up at 5 a.m. is not about becoming successful faster. It is about becoming different first. Different in mindset, different in self-trust, different in awareness. And once you are different, success has no choice but to follow in its own time. Now, with identity reshaped and distance created from the past self, we arrive at the final lesson. The one that ties everything together and reveals the true meaning of the 5 a.m. winning mindset. This is where everything comes together, quietly, gently, but with immense clarity. By now you may have realized something important. Waking up at 5 a.m. is not really about the clock. It never was. It is about conscious living. Many people are awake, but not aware. They move through life on autopilot, reacting, rushing, repeating. Days pass, years pass, and suddenly they wonder, where did my life go? Early morning interrupts this unconscious momentum. When you wake up before the world, you are given a rare chance to choose your life instead of inheriting it. At 5 a.m., there is no pressure to perform, no role to play, no image to maintain. You are not someone's employee, someone's child, someone's partner. You are simply you. This is important because clarity comes when roles fall away, conscious. Living begins when you stop letting circumstances dictate your inner state. And early morning gives you the training ground for that mastery. You begin the day with intention, not impulse. Instead of asking, what do I have to do today? You ask, how do I want to live today? This single shift changes everything. When you live consciously, you don't just manage time, you manage energy. You become aware of where your attention goes, where your emotions go, where your life force goes, and awareness is power. Most people don't waste time. They waste attention. They give it away to distractions, negativity, comparison, and worry. Early morning gently pulls attention back inward. You start noticing patterns in your thoughts, in your reactions, in your habits. And once you notice, you gain choice. Once you gain choice, you gain freedom. This is why conscious people are not easily manipulated. They don't react instantly. They pause. They reflect. They respond. And this ability is priceless in a chaotic world. Early mornings also teach you presence. When the world is quiet, the present moment becomes visible. You stop living in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's anxieties. You sit with now, and presence is healing. Many emotional wounds persist not because they are deep, but because we never slow down enough to process them. Silence allows healing without forcing it. You also begin to see life more clear. Lie. You realize that success without awareness is empty and pleasure without presence is exhausting. Conscious living doesn't make life perfect. It makes life meaningful. And meaning brings peace. When you live consciously, you stop chasing happiness outside. You start cultivating stability inside. You understand that life will have ups and downs, but your inner anchor doesn't have to move with every wave. This is the true winning mindset. Not dominating others, not proving anything, but mastering yourself. At this point, waking up at 5 a.m. becomes effortless, not because it is easy, but because it aligns with who you are. It becomes an expression of awareness, not a forced habit. And even if one day you miss it, you don't fall into guilt. Conscious living teaches compassion. You simply return without drama, without self-criticism. Because consciousness is not rigid. It is gentle and firm at the same time. So remember this, the 5 a.m. mindset is not about waking up early to add more pressure to your life. It is about waking up early to remove confusion from your life. It is about starting your day rooted in awareness, gratitude, discipline, and purpose, so that no matter what the day brings, you are not lost, you are present and when you live. This way success becomes balanced, ambition becomes peaceful, and effort becomes joyful. In the end, life does not reward those who wake up early. Life rewards those who live consciously. Because true success is not how high you rise. It is how aware you are while rising. Life does not change on the day you feel inspired. Life changes on the day you become responsible for your inner state. Waking up at 5 a.m. will not magically solve your problems, but it will give you something far more valuable: clarity. Before chaos, when you rise early, you are silently telling life, I will not live accidentally. I will not wait for circumstances to shape me. I choose awareness over excuses. And this choice, repeated daily, transforms ordinary people into steady, grounded, peaceful achievers. You don't need to wake up early to impress the world. You wake up early to honor the life that has been entrusted to you, because one day success will come. One day recognition may come. One day comfort will come. But if awareness does not come first, all of that will feel empty. So begin your day before the world begins demanding from you. Sit in silence, breathe with gratitude, move with discipline, act with purpose. And remember this deeply spiritual truth. When you put consciousness first, confusion naturally steps aside. When you put discipline first, destiny quietly rearranges itself. And when you put God or higher awareness at the center, fear automatically moves to the edge. True success is not about having everything. It is about being present, grateful, and responsible with whatever you have been given. Wake up early, not to chase life, but to meet life with awareness. And that is the real 5 a.m. winning mindset. Let me leave you with a truth that is older than success, deeper than motivation, and stronger than fear. Life does not reward talent first. Life rewards trustworthiness. When you wake up early, when you choose discipline over comfort, when you act with awareness, even when no one is watching, you are telling the universe, I can be trusted with more. Faith is not only about believing in God. Faith is about believing that every sincere effort is seen. Even in silence, you may not see immediate results. You may not feel applause. You may even feel alone in your discipline, but nothing offered with sincerity is ever wasted. When you put God or higher consciousness first in your morning, fear automatically takes the last place in your life. When you put awareness before ambition, peace walks alongside success. And when you live responsibly, blessings arrive quietly, exactly when you are ready. So rise early, not to control life, but to surrender your ego and strengthen your spirit. Do your duty with sincerity. Trust the process with humility. Leave the results with faith, because true success is not about how much you achieve. It is about how conscious, gratefully, and faithfully you live each day. Start tomorrow morning, start gently, but start honestly, and watch how life responds, not loudly, but beautifully.